Hi guys, this is 3B. Just wanted to show you guys with via the Tome of Wonders a little bit about the new specializations, because I know people were asking about them. So without further ado, we'll go straight into Shadowborn. We'll sort this out by tier. Okay, so these are the 5 spells or abilities you get with the Shadowborn adept. So I will start off with that. Okay, now this is innate. Now, as you know, every single specialization you pick, whether adept or mastery, has something that comes for free. Okay, so an innate or inherent ability or buff or something like that. In this case, it's Carissa's Rally, which means pikemen and infantry units cost 5% less. Now, obviously, this stacks with anything that increases your reduction. For example, if you are a warlord, that means your infantry will now be minus 25%. Okay, and that 5% is inherent. So in theory, if you stack this with a goblin warlord, you can have 10% for the goblin, 5% for Carissa's Rally, right, and your extra 20%. So you have 35% cheaper infantry and pikemen. Okay. Now, obviously, that lends itself quite well to a strategy based around goblin butchers, for example. All right. Or if you go for Shadowborn Mastery, that discount also applies to cavalry units, and I can't remember what the other one is. Let's have a quick look. So you got Shadowborn. Where are you? Keep the peace, great guard. Where have you gone? Shadowborn Master. Okay, where is it? No, that's not what I clicked on, is it? There we go. You have Shadowborn Army. Cavalry and archer units will cost 5%. So again, if you go for Shadowborn Mastery, Goblin Warlord, you're looking at 35% cheaper units. Okay? Unfortunately, you're still a Goblin Warlord, which means you're still going to die quite quickly, your units anyway. But now you get them much cheaper. So exponentially, you know, it's something. There's a trade-off. I've done this myself as a, you know, as part of the testing, and yes, you get much cheaper units out the gate, and it is quite good. But again, you know, with the way the mechanics work with production and that, basically it's a difference between 1 turn and 2 turns for most things. Doesn't make your units that much stronger, just cheaper. Okay, let us go back to adept. Alright, the first spell you get is Embrace Darkness. Okay, so this gives life stealing to units in that in the domain of a target friendly city, whether produced or summoned. Okay, the downside is, or I don't know if you want to call it a downside, one of the effects is it will make your leader and your heroes dedicated to evil, regardless of where they are, and any units within produced within that target city's borders then become dedicated to evil. Okay, so if you're not evil and then you use this spell thinking, hey, you know what, this is great, it means I can produce, let's go back to the Goblin Warlord example. It means any single unit, for example, you're now 35% cheaper Warg Riders, okay, them coming out with life stealing. You might think, yeah, you know what, that's a pretty good deal. Or even better, big beetles with life stealing, because that is something that I can see that being quite dangerous to deal with, because they got enough HP that they can take a few, and this would make, that could mean the difference between winning or losing a battle. You need to be evil. If you're not evil, they're going to suffer a morale penalty. Okay, and you know, morale penalty means they're going to start fumbling. Okay. Now, obviously, there's some synergy here with necromancers, because they can ignore the morale, essentially. Except, you know, your leader and heroes will still suffer from the morale if you're not dedicated to evil. Okay, Seeds of Distrust. This is basically a strategic thing that you're going to use to mess other people around. Someone who's looking to go, you know, lots of vassals, because I'm sure you guys have played along with this now. You've seen how vassals work, and you've seen the utility, as opposed to purely just rolling in there, conquering everything. Both ways work, by the way, okay? But one, you know, there's pros and cons. With vassals, you don't need to have troops there. You can just vassalize them, and you're still going to get some money out of it. Quite a fair bit of money. And once you've bought it, you don't need to conquer it. Okay, it's faster, in my experience, to just go there and conquer But especially in the early game to mid game, when this money starts to add up, you're not generally going to have enough troops to go there, fight them, conquer them, and do that. Okay, so pros and cons. This allows you to mess up anyone else, all right, who's looking to maybe go for lots of vassals. And then, you know, if they got something like someone's getting very friendly with a bunch of dragons, or you want to reserve that place, you know, a particular city for yourself, you cast Seeds of Distrust, messes up everyone else, and then when you're ready and you got the money, you can go in and buy it. Okay, Black Lightning. This is a combat spell, does a bit of lightning and a bit of spirit damage. More importantly, it has the chance to inflict Spirit Break, which off the top of my head gives minus 300 morale. Let's have a quick look. I cannot spell. Inflict into Spirit Breaking. Okay, right, we'll have a look at that when we get into the game. Alright guys. So going back to this, okay, you then have Gift of Necron. Alright, whenever a unit dies, so you cast this in battle, right? Any unit that dies, the unit that kills it gets 15 life back. So it's like a targeted one-off life steal, if that makes sense. Obviously there's use for this with anyone. Okay, if you know, well, I'm sure you guys can work it out how you might want to use this. Alright, let us move on to Mastery. Okay, like I said, Shadowborn Army means your cavalry and your archers are 5% cheaper. Okay. Now again, remember this all stacks, guys. For example, if you're a dreadnought, there's a upgrade that lets you produce cheaper units, cheaper armored units. Okay, so if you are a human dreadnought with Shadowborn Mastery, you're getting cheaper units. Okay. Mab's Boon. Newly migrated cities gain some extra hammers, gold, population for 5 turns. Now bear in mind guys, this is every newly migrated city. So if you're looking at a Shadowborn, this kind of lends itself really nicely to putting in maximum racial points for a single race. So if you Shadowborn Mastery and you've researched Empire Upgrade, you go in, you conquer something, and you migrate it quickly. And once it's migrated, it's got a quick boost that lets you protect a little bit. Alright? Rite of Malediction. Oh no, what we missed? Entwined by Shadows. Yeah, okay. So this links in quite well with the spell that I showed you earlier, which was, where is it? Embrace Darkness. So Embrace Darkness, getting life stealing and making those units evil, dedicate to evil, and then that, it means all your friendly dedicate to evil. This includes your heroes, by the way, gain that extra bit there. So, you know, as a necromancer, if you're going for an evil necromancer, that 20% protection, I can see that being very useful. That extra resistance is always useful, and then a little bit of extra lightning damage. Okay, so if you're a sorcerer with Shadowborn, it gets you a little bit extra damage. Okay, this also opens up another damage channel if you don't have any shock damage. Right, Rite of Malediction. This is quite similar to the Wild Magic Mastery ability. Okay, it gives 2 random dark powers to every friendly evil unit in the combat. Okay, so it's a little bit more focused. Now you might be thinking, what are the random dark powers? Well, I can't remember all of them, but this includes things like life stealing. Okay, that's one of the dark powers. So, you know, there's quite a few. There's at least as many as they were with the Wild Magic ability. Right, this is quite a useful spell. I do quite like this. And then of course we have the ultimate here, the Fallen Angel. Information available in game. Okay, so hopefully what I'm going to do, guys, is at some point when I start actually playing, I'm going to bring out the Tome of Wonders, and we're going to look at the actual stats of the Fallen Angel, the Chthonic Guardian, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and the Angel of Light. Is he called an Angel of Light? Let's whatever she's called. Where is she? Keeper of the Peace, Mastery, Arc Archangel. Is it Archangel or Archangel? I'm never really sure with the pronunciation. Right, okay guys, that was a quick overview of Shadowborn, Adept and Mastery, and the next we are going to do is looking at, well, Keep of the Peace as it's up.